Introduction. I am a medical doctor living in Conway, South Carolina, and enjoying my 9th decade of life. I am also the chairman of the Napoleon Hill Foundation and the nephew of its famous namesake. So I was thrilled when Grand Harbor Press asked me to provide some memories of growing up with my remarkable Uncle Nap, to be used as an introduction to this book. When I was very young, my parents divorced, and my mother and I moved in with my unmarried aunt, Annie Lou Norman, in Clinton, South Carolina. Annie Lou had a responsible job at the W.P. Jacobs Company, a large publishing firm owned by Dr. William Plumer Jacobs, who also served as president of Presbyterian College in Clinton. As she was on her own and busy with work, she needed someone to keep house for her. In return for this service, she offered to support my mother, who, at the time, had no other skills with which to support her family, namely me. We weren't the only ones Aunt Annie Lou looked after. Another sister, my Aunt Mary, also moved in, along with her 2 daughters, Patricia and Mary Ruth, and, to my great dismay, their 2 female dogs. It was quite distressing to me that I was the only male in that big 3-story house. My only interaction with father figures was through some of my friends' fathers, who kindly took me fishing and hunting. Then one day, Annie Lou took in another boarder, a gentleman brought to Clinton by Dr. Jacobs to write a series of motivational books and present lectures. He was, of course, Napoleon Hill. By then, Mr. Hill was a very successful man, having written Think and Grow Rich 4 years earlier, though I was too young to be aware of this at the time. He was also a busy man, spending his days writing on the 3rd floor of my aunt's house and his nights lecturing at various locations. I recall little interaction with him at first, other than his scolding me for tampering with the radio on a nice Sunday afternoon in December of 1941. It was the day of the attack on Pearl Harbor, and he, of course, wanted to listen to the news, while I wanted to hear the comic strips read, a common Sunday radio program at the time. Still, I was quite impressed that he had a great interest in and knowledge of what was going on in the world. From then on, he devoted a good deal of time to teaching me about world affairs, and I was fascinated to sit at his knee and listen. After Mr. Hill moved in, I recall rummaging in a closet and finding a number of books wrapped up in paper. Naturally, I tore into them to see if they contained anything I would be interested in. These were booklets that Dr. Jacobs had encouraged Napoleon to write about the principles of personal achievement. I found 2 booklets that I became particularly intrigued with. One was about definiteness of purpose, and the other focused on going the extra mile, which to this day is my favorite principle. I read and reread the booklets on these 2 timeless success principles, which are among the 5 foundations for success featured in the book you are about to read. Napoleon and Annie Lou became friends and soon began courting. Napoleon had a very strange automobile called a DeSoto, with a long hood and a much longer trunk. 2 people could sit comfortably in the front, and that was where Napoleon and his sweetheart, my aunt, sat whenever we took a drive. There was a small space behind the front seats that he had redone, and we all thought it was intended as tiny seats for family members. We were wrong. Napoleon had fixed up these seats for his 2 Pomeranian dogs, Little Girl and Big Boy. On weekend outings, we would all get in the trunk and on the running boards. Me, my mother, Aunt Mary, my 2 cousins, and their 2 female dogs, while Napoleon's 2 dogs rode up front. Nonetheless, we all enjoyed these trips because for the first time we had access to an automobile. Napoleon had a soft spot in his heart for those dogs, but he cared for his adopted family as well. My mother and Annie Lou attended his lectures, and Mother was inspired by them to go to school and earn a degree in accounting. Annie Lou was romantically inspired, and she and Napoleon married in December of 1943. They lived happily ever after. Meanwhile, I was growing into my teenage years and had developed an interest in eventually studying medicine. Even with my mother's new position as an accountant, though, medical school was clearly beyond our financial means. It seemed like just a dream. And so, around